Alright, what's up, y'all? Talk a little bit about this shielded wire, and I'm gonna try to crimp a couple, or show y'all how I crimp or strip my. Oh, first of all, I use this. This is my wire stripper. My buddy gave it to me, I don't know, 5 years ago. I've been using it ever since. And a cheap eBay barrel crimper tool. Like $10-12 or something. I may have ordered it from China, I'm not sure, but it was definitely from eBay. Alright, we're gonna talk about our shielded wire. We got with our 3-wire shielded, and as I mentioned before in my previous videos, your shielded wire only gets grounded on one end. This is going to be our distributor side end, which, and here's our shielded wire end. That's going to go to B2, and in my case, A21, B15, and B16. And I complete the glare of the damn sun, and I know this video is crap. I know most of my videos are crap because I don't have the equipment to do this, but jeez, bear with me, people, bear with me. What I do is I like to strip the wire far enough where I like to fold. Sometimes it's hard to communicate on here, but I like to fold this in half. I'm gonna set this phone down and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, I'm back. When you crimp these, you want to make sure they're all like in a same sequence, because that's how they go into the connector. And, man, I know you can't see because of the sun and the cheap camera, but I've stripped it enough to fold it in half, and I'll crimp my terminal on. Alright, so my first step is I crimp that on. You don't want this excess copper sticking out too far, because it, let me see if I can get close here. Jeez, come on. You don't want the copper sticking up out this little area, because it won't fit in the connector right. That's the first step, is crimping the first one, and I use letter D. I use letter D for that one. This is how it pretty much looks when it's damn non-focus, but it crimps in the holds the rubber, and it crimps in blah blah blah. Okay, and always be sure to put your seal on before you go doing all this, because you'll have to cut it off. But I'll slide my seal up and I'll crimp this. Alright, and then I'll crimp the seal. And let's see, I use letter C for that one. Letter C. Yeah, if you squeeze it too hard, you'll end up busting the seal if they're cheap seals. But that's about it for this crazy situation day. Alright, we're going to talk about how this wiring setup starts out. Let's see, we'll start with the B16 intake manifold stuff. This comes with the newer 2-pin, because on the old one, the original, this, it's hard to see, but this little notch is on the opposite side, and you gotta kind of switch that out. But I'm including the original one, so if you, I don't know if you're gonna be using a previous owned manifold where these things are like bolted in, you can't ever get them out, or a new one. If you're getting a new one, you can just bolt that right in and use your stock plug. But if not, there's a 2-pin plug for that. Alright, and we'll talk about for your TPS sensor, you have to excuse the mess. I got some blow by, I got to change the piston rings and all that. Usually your TPS wire, your stock wiring, runs down through here and goes up under the throttle body and plugs in. This will plug into the new throttle body on the back side. TPS sensor. Alright. Get to the side of the car. And then we got our throttle body map sensor. Mine's tucked in the firewall, but it will come from the black box in this area. It'll be clipped to the black box. You'll slide it off. It's a 3-pin connector, and you'll plug your 3-pin in over here. boop, after the black box is removed. So that's where the map sensor is at, and plug your throttle body in. That's and for idle air control valve, right here, we got our 2-pin connector. It'll come over here, and you'll have a black thing, cold advanced solenoid. Cold advanced solenoid, big ugly black thing with hoses coming off. I have a 2-pin connector. Most of the time it's green like that, and you'll plug your 2-pin connector into that and into your idle air control valve. That would be it for your that's basically all your wiring for your intake manifold. Alright, let's get to the distributor parts. Bear with me. We'll start, it's hard to see, start off with this 2-pin for the distributor. 12-volt power source, black and yellow, RPM signal blue. This will come from your stock coil, approximately in this area, your stock coil. The coil will have 2 connectors, one will unplug and that runs to the distributor. You've completely removed your coil if you're running an internal coil distributor, and that plug that's left over, match the colors up and just wire that in. Alright, so yeah, that's one part of the distributor. And here's your second part. You will, like I said, have to supplying your terminals. I'm out of new seals, but I gave you some decent used seals. You'll work for this. And a previous video showed you how to crimp them or whatever. And I thought I had a 4-pin connector, but I do not have a connector for you to set up. I recommend a Molex Junior 4-pin. But I did, you ain't got to use them, but I supplied some bullet connectors. Gave you plenty of those with the shielding on it. Those are also good for, let's see, on your thermostat housing, and also your for your transmission. Those 2 bullet connectors for your transmission, and they're good for everything. So you know. And these are the pins you're gonna crimp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I gave you 2 extra, so you can make 2 mistakes. Got you some shrink wrap. Oh, and on that 2 wire deal for the distributor, here's these little splices where you can splice them together, and I gave you some 3-to-1 glue shrink wrap. And I think that's about it. Oh, and this will be. Let me get over here. My back's sore. If you go on external coil, this is just extra plug-in. And the external coil will go where the plug's at. But it's set up for internal coil. And you got 4 wires to worry about. Let's see if I can. You cut your stock plug off and just, I know you can't see the numbers, but I'll get you some better pictures, a diagram to go by. But yeah, B13, B14, B12, and B11. You can always test from your ECU jumper once you get it started to find from where you cut your stock plug off. You just match the colors up, and you're going to crimp your pins onto the thing you cut off. And most of the time, the stock, the original stock distributor wiring, bolts up here. Once you go OBD1, most of the time the plug's on the back side of the distributor, and it looks a lot cleaner to just undo the loom and extend the wire back under here and hide it. But that's up to you. And on the other, you'll run your shielded wire along, and run through the firewall. I usually come down along the carpet line. You can either go, boom that way, then up to the ECU, or you can go across here and go up under to the ECU. So that pretty much explains everything. Thanks for watching.